I'll follow your slides soon. We log into them.
Have you logged in? The thing again happened, the screen,
That's very funny.
yeah. I want to enlarge the thing because once I enlarge,
Okay.
you see, it becomes like that. I cannot see the
Okay.
people already. You always have this problem.
We shared it a different way last time. Is it okay?
Yeah. What did you do?
I just hit reading mode.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to start
Yeah.
admitting people in.
I run away first.
So I'm going to admit people in already, yeah? Apanya? Habis swing.
Oh, powerbank. Powerbank ini. Yang
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're just going to wait a little bit for everyone to log in. I would appreciate if you can mute yourselves until we have some conversations later on and we'll have some interactions. We are expecting quite a lot of people. There are over 250 people who have registered. So thank you so much for taking the time. So those of you who are in, please scan the QR code to mark your attendance. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I just want everyone to be on the same page. We will be recording the webinar tonight. And so in case those people who come late, they can still access the webinar recording. And if you don't want to be shown on the screen, you can turn off your video. But I'm seeing some familiar faces. Thank you so much, Anna. I'm seeing Anna, Julie. Oh, Miss Home, you're here. Thank you for coming. So I'm just scanning through all the names. And some of you have actually requested for more information. I recognize the names and I've sent it to you on your email. So if you can check your spam box just in case you miss the email information. So those of you, again, thank you for coming on time. I'm going to go ahead and start. And I'm looking at two screens. So just in case you think why I'm turning to and forth, one screen is getting too small for me. So please scan the webinar check-in and answer the question, do the check-in quickly, and then I can go ahead and start. Okay. And my admin staff will also put in the webinar check-in for those who are coming in later on. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay. Oops. Okay. So tonight, you are coming for this webinar called How to Start a Fulfilling Career as a Montessori Teacher in Asia. I am your host. My name is Catherine Ching. I am the Asia representative of the Center for Guided Montessori Studies, CGMS in short. Okay. And I wear several hats. So I'm also an instructional guide, a practicum advisor, a field consultant, and I also do training on site. Okay. So tonight I'm actually going to be just sharing some of my it's a personal sharing how we can start a fulfilling career as a Montessori teacher. Okay, so a little bit of introduction of myself. So when I first started the Montessori journey, I took some studies on early childhood and child psychology. So that gave me an understanding of what working in early childhood looked like. Um, and then I had my daughter, she was born in 1997, and I sent her to a Montessori playgroup. That was my first exposure to Montessori education. In 1999, I moved to China, and I had to homeschool my daughter, who was 2 years old then. I started a home playgroup for 1.5 years old to 2.5 years old. There were a lot of neighbors who came to my house. They were very interested to learn English, and they were amazed that my child was speaking English. So with the Chinese families, the first thing that they want to do is have their children learn a second language. So I started a small play group, but I was not trained in Montessori yet. When I was expecting my second child, my second daughter in 2001, I had the opportunity to come back to Singapore, and there was a course running in Singapore. It was a 9-month program that allows me to do unsupervised internship at a kindergarten, a Montessori kindergarten at that time. The principal was trained in AMI credentials, and it gave me an eye-opening understanding of what Montessori early childhood looked like. And the course was not METI certified, but it gave me some foundation, right? It was only a 9-month program. So when I went back to China, I started a kindergarten. It was called Children's House Kindergarten in Hunan Province, China. I knew how to use the materials, but as I taught, I realized I had a lot of unanswered questions because the depth in philosophy and principles of Montessori teaching was very lacking for me. However, I must say that the program was sufficient to give me some foundations. At least I was able to present lessons, right? But as I continue to teach, I was asking lots and lots of questions and I could not find any answers. Eventually, I found CGMS online. I took 2 professional development courses with them on language arts and visual arts. I was so amazed that there was such deep philosophy in the 2 professional development programs. But it still did not give me a METI teacher certification, right? But at least it gave me more theory in language and arts. My education director, Kitty Bravo, reached out to me personally, and she said, Catherine, you have a very good foundation. You know how to present your materials, but we realized that perhaps you were lacking in the philosophy because there were a lot of things that you could not understand the why behind we do or why we do what we do. So she encouraged me to enroll in the CGMS Early Childhood 3 to 6 program, which is METI certified. I'm one of the very early graduates of CGMS. So I took the course, and eventually I went to the USA for my residency, and I was so amazed at the environment set up I began to understand why materials were arranged in a certain way, why what we call the practical life, dry pouring, the dry exercises were separate from the wet. Okay. Previously I had no idea. I just put everything together. Okay. And by the time I finished the training, I became certified. Went back to still working in China, and I was continue to train my teachers. So as I was training teachers, there were other schools in the vicinity that were also running Montessori programs. They asked to come and visit. I opened our school to invite teachers to come and observe our teaching. And they were amazed at the difference between what I was doing in school compared to what they were learning in China. So as a result, I started training and sharing with everyone that would come and visit at our school. Fast forward 2018, I was invited to be an instructional guide with CGMS. We brought the Chinese online program to China, and we had a huge signed up for our first cohort. I had the pleasure of working with Kitty Bravo as her assistant trainer in Beijing. Okay. That really helped me to understand even much more. Eventually, I got to do more training around China, all over China. I went to Timor-Leste, Myanmar, Laos, to support our learners as their practicum advisor as well as their field consultant. Today, I am a volunteer with the International Montessori Council and in the school accreditation team. So my first assignment was in Hong Kong. I went to visit the IMS, the International Montessori School. Again, that was another eye-opening experience for me to learn alongside various experienced trainers who was leading the school accreditation team. We went to every class to observe. And in this year, I've done 2 METI site verification, one in Beijing, and we are just 2 days back, I just finished the South Korea Dr. Jun Montessori Institute. So I just wanted to share with you how my journey has grown so that you can have a little bit of a background understanding of who I am. Okay. So I'd like to get to know you. I know I'm not going to be able to speak to everyone, but certainly would you like to type in the chat function here? So if you are working in a Montessori classroom, can you type 1? And if you're not in a Montessori classroom, but you're also in education, type 2 on the chat. And 3 if you are not in education field at all. Okay, there's quite a number of 1 and 2s. Okay, and Felicia is 3. Felicia, would you like to share with me what you do? Oh, Elizabeth as well is not? Okay. Great. And if you can take a moment to write down, if you're not in the education field, right, what you are doing now. Okay, that will help me understand. Okay. And I'd like you to also share what you hope to take away tonight from this webinar. Would you like to type it in chat? What you hope to take away from this webinar? If you're not in, especially if you're not in the education field, what do you hope to do? Okay, Felicia. Okay, right. So you want to be a counselor, all right? So I'm going to do a little bit of interaction while the rest of you are typing. Okay, to improve teaching, all right. Okay, learn the processes. Okay, right, Elizabeth, you want to start the home-based childcare? Wonderful. Wow, there's so many who wants to start schools. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to move on. Okay, thank you for that interaction. And the rest of you can continue to type your objective and hope what you hope to learn tonight. Okay, so let me share about a fulfilling career. So I went to our favorite Mr. ChatGPT to understand what fulfilling career would be. So Mr. ChatGPT gave this definition. He said, one that offers deep sense of meaning, purpose, and satisfaction by aligning your work with your personal values, passions, and talents. So you should also nurture your personal growth intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and allow you to contribute to society. So when I first started, I was not in education field. I was in marketing for a good, I think, 10 to 12 years. Okay. I did very well in my corporate career in marketing, but it did not give me satisfaction. Every time I finish work, I always ask myself the same question. What is it that is missing? Why is it I'm not happy doing what I'm doing? I was well paid. I was doing well. Okay, I was a young manager then. And that thought continued to linger on. Okay. So my question to you would be, are you living your dream and passions, or are you living someone else's dreams and passion? Whatever you are doing now, are you living your dream? Okay, could it be you're living your parents' dreams and expectations? Does the job make you feel satisfied? Or are you doing it because there was no other choice? Okay, so I want you to just have that thought in the back of your mind, okay? So some of you may be familiar with Ikigai, okay? Ikigai actually has this 4 circles. It talks about doing what you love to do and what the world needs. So definitely in the world, people need to be educated. Is that something you enjoy doing? And if it is, then that will become your mission. Okay? Now, if the world needs to be educated and you can get paid for it, that becomes your vocation. Now, and if you can get paid and this is your strength, then it becomes your profession. Okay? And your strengths plus what you love to do becomes your passion. That will really keep you going, even though we may not be the most well-paid teacher in the school or in the country or in general. Okay? Your passion will keep you motivated. Okay, and that's very, very important. Okay, so please take a screenshot of this Ikigai, okay, so that you can ponder over it more. Okay. Okay, so I want to share this with you. As I was teaching, I kept asking myself, what are my strengths? What are my intrinsic motivations? So I did 2 assessments. One is called VIA, which is more character-based. I'm going to give you a link. You can actually register this to do the VIA character. and it's for free. Okay. Let me just give you the link here. Yeah. Okay. So please keep this link where you can do the VIA character for yourself. Now, you do not have to pay the report, but if you want to pay the report, it is good. I did not pay the report. So I'm actually sharing with you my own personal report. The top 9 characteristics that I have. The number 1 was my spirituality, which is my faith, okay? That really keeps me going. It is the foundation of who I am. It guides me in my decision making, okay? And number 2 was love of learning. As an educator, we must enjoy and want to keep learning, okay? So that actually was a huge plus for me, moving forward in education, okay? Honesty, okay? Should teachers be honest? And one of the things that I can be very honest is when I work with children, when I don't know an answer, I always tell them, I don't know. I don't know. Why the elephant can grow so big? Let's find out together. So I can be very honest with the children. Okay. So just giving you examples here, all right, and also have a heart of gratitude, okay, and so forth. Then I also did this Reese motivation profile. Reese motivation profile is tells me why I do what I do. It shows the values I embrace, okay? And so combining the 2 assessments, I found out that the curious mind helps me keep learning things, and I do enjoy learning things in depth. The theories and ideas are important to me, but it also helps me to develop more strategies, right? Honesty, honor, and spirituality lays the foundation for character, a code of conduct. I want to do things right, okay? Idealism, I am very interested about social causes, about fairness and compassion, okay? So I'm actually doing a lot of volunteer work with schools on well-being, right? Today, our young people, even our working adults are very, very stressed at work. Okay, so I do a lot of volunteering there. And I'm also a very independent worker. I do enjoy teamwork, and I feel like I work well with other people as well. Okay. Some of you who know me, for socially, I'm actually a very quiet, private person. Okay. I enjoy my downtime alone. Okay. And I certainly value peacemaking, cooperation. So all these values from the two assessment, all these values really help me understand why I do certain things that way, because I have those intrinsic motivations. It's natural for me. Okay. It also helps me to know the areas I am weak in, and how I should work carefully to close those gaps. For example, my social contact, right? Being a very quiet person means that I don't naturally like to talk to people that can appear very snobbish, right? And as a trainer, that is not going to be nice. So once I knew that there was my weakness, I started working hard on it so that it doesn't, I don't look like I'm snobbish or I am not interested in people, but I am actually very interested in people. Okay. So I do encourage you, if you have a chance, at least do the VIA character. Risk motivation profile is a paid assessment. Okay, and if you're interested to know more, you can reach out to me separately. Okay, So when we do what we are good at, we find the work enjoyable. It fulfills us, it drives us to achieve. Okay. Now I want to share with you my children's stories. Okay. So if you look at all these little pictures, I took it out from the album. My So when I had my first child, I had to prepare to become a mother. And I knew nothing about how to raise her, how I'm going to teach her. Okay. So because I have the child, I started reading. I started reading about Montessori books. I started reading about early childhood, about parenting. And one day I had a friend who came back from South Korea. She sent her son to a Montessori school. And she was visiting at my house, and she saw my daughter playing with some locks and keys. And she said, "Oh, Catherine, did you study Montessori?" I said, "No, what is that?" So she said, "Oh, wow, this activity is one of the Montessori activities. My child went to a Montessori school. You might want to go to the library and find out more about it because it looks like uh, your what you're doing with your child aligns with the Montessori philosophy." Okay, so that got me really, really excited. Okay. I love reading to my child. So you see the bottom pictures, I read to both of them all the time. Not just bedtime stories, but through the days. Okay. And I realized that both of them today, they are already adults. Okay. Both of them have very strong language development. According to Dr. Montessori, it is the longest sensitive periods. Okay. By 4 years old, my older daughter was already reading books by herself. Okay, and she began reading books like maybe half an inch thick, and eventually she started reading novels. Okay, the minute she started reading, she didn't need me as a teacher anymore. She became very independent learner. My second daughter, um, she when I had her, I was doing the Montessori course, the first Montessori course that is not METI certified. And after I gave birth to her, um, I realized that she has very good fine motor skills. Okay. By 8 or 9 months old, roughly, she was able to sit down and play with the cylinder blocks. The first picture that you see, my husband was working with her then. And she would hold the cylinder block with her pincer grip, her 3 fingers, and find the right hole to match it. Yeah. So my husband was amazed how she even understood, right? Because obviously she didn't have lessons. She was only about 8 to 9 months old, and I was already teaching in class. Okay. So both my daughters have very good fine motor skills. They besides coordination, their concentration were deep. They had a sense of order and certainly work independently. These are very important skills as they started formal school. And both my daughters were homeschooled while we were living in China. Okay, there was no international school at that time. And they continued their homeschooling all the way to high school and earned themselves a place in college. So my older daughter is back with me here in Singapore, and she is working already. Okay, and she pursued a career as a journalist. I told you she liked writing. Okay, so if you see the pictures, um, look at them feeding. Look at my second daughter feeding herself. She would grab a pen. Look at her pencil grip. Okay, and she was barely 2 years old then. Okay, and she would work with the material. She could hold the tongs very well. My older daughter at the bottom was sewing. I gave her this sewing material. She was just doing basic stitches. So the eye-hand coordination was very, very good. And she was only about 4 years old then. Okay. This was just some of the photos I could find from their childhood. Okay. So let me share about doing what you love to do. Okay. So from the definition, we know that there has to have meaning, alignment. We must have joy. Okay, it should propel us to grow as a person. There must be impact. Okay, impacting lives. Um, and you must feel supported as well, right? In your career. Okay, so education is very, very meaningful. When I started going into teaching, I realized that that was really what can keep me going. Um, Although I was not well paid, I was not making a lot of money as a teacher. I earned more money as a marketing manager, but there was a sense of fulfillment. I felt that I was helping children flourish. It laid down foundations during the sensitive periods, and it can help them maximize their potential. I get a lot of, I'm able to support and help Montessori teachers and non-Montessori teachers who want to work with children. Okay, I was able to help parents and fire up all the passion in teaching. So over the years, I've been in Montessori teaching for almost 27 years now. Okay, and I am so happy to see teachers being fired up in their passion for teaching. Instead of feeling burnout, they begin to enjoy the work and they're so excited to get to school. They do not complain about the long working hours or having to do some overtime. They found joy, right? So pursuing your passions and interests make you come alive. Okay. Now, so the question you want to ask yourself is, do you know what your skills and strengths are? What are you good at? Here's something to think about. What problems do you think you are called to solve? So that gives you your sense of contribution. Okay. So to have a fulfilling career, you must feel like you're doing something good, right? Okay. I met a school psychologist who live in Israel. When I first got to know him, I was still in China and I was writing a book called for anti-bullying to address the bullying issues in China. So I didn't know enough about bullying and how to handle those uh, behavior. So I got to know this school psychologist. He told me one thing that really impressed me. He said, Catherine, I think I am born to do this. So he invested 45 years of his life just addressing school bullying and training teachers. He knew he was good at it and that is his strength and that was his passion. He knew he could contribute well to train people to, to stop those behaviors in schools. And he had a good high success rate. Okay. So you have to ask yourself, why am I in the education? Why do I want to be in Montessori education in particular? Okay. And what are my strengths? Okay. Now, the next question you want to think about is your professional viability. Are your skills and what you have to offer valued? Is it valued by other people? Is it valued by society, by the community, by the Ministry of Education, by parents, by children that you work with, by teachers in other schools? Do you have something more that you can share with other people? I think, well, because we have a lot of people from different countries, so I'm not going to have a broad statement, but I think it is important that as teachers, we are willing to share our know-how. Okay, don't be afraid to share your experiences, your strategies for success. Okay, I had a very good boss who told me that Catherine, I am always waiting for someone to take over my place. She was the director of the department. And when she said that to me, I was like horrified, which manager wants you to take over that place, right? But it totally changed my perspective of things about success. Success is not about just me. Success is helping others to grow. When people grow, you grow even more. Okay. So I felt like I was able to share my skills, share my know-how. I'm not afraid to share my Montessori journey. Where some of you have attended my training. I love doing all those training and share fun activities so that you can take it back and bring it to school. Okay. And the best part is your professional viability must get you paid, right? Okay. No good if you're doing something and you're not getting paid. So make sure you get paid. And don't be afraid to ask for the pay that is due to you. Okay. Don't be afraid to ask for the pay that is due to you. Okay. But if you want to, so for me, like I'm doing training, there are occasions where I do reduce my fees, especially for a school that is not able to afford the fees, but they really want to learn. They really want to improve their training in school. They do not, perhaps may not have as much resources. And I'm happy to do that. Okay. So that is part of what we do to serve the community. Okay. And because of that passion and the motivation, you will find a lot of joy and satisfaction. Okay. And that is why I feel very fulfilled in my career. Okay. So money is no longer like the number one thing that drives me doing what I'm doing. It is more than that. It's relationships. At the end of the day, getting to know people, knowing what they are passionate about, and especially if they learn a skill and they could take it back to the classroom and inspire the children, that gives me even more satisfaction, because I'm no longer working in the classroom. I'm no longer working with children. I'm now just doing teacher training. So when I see teachers are working with children and their lives are transformed, families are transformed, it makes me so very happy. Okay. Okay, my Ikigai statement, and I encourage you to have your own statement and your own mission statement. Okay, my personal motto is to be an agent of change. To be an agent of change. I think we should not be living status quo, 19th century, still living like the old times. All of us probably receive traditional education. So imagine if we just stayed on doing teaching the same way, lives won't be changed, right? Okay. And we know that the old way of teaching may not always work. Children may not be inspired to learn. Okay. And we want to learn new methods. Okay. So my Ikigai statement is, I exist to inspire and equip educators to become agents of transformation. So while I am an agent of change, they can become agents of transformation in their classrooms. And I certainly hope that it will be rooted in some characters, okay? So for me, integrity, wisdom, compassion was important for me, and that they could nurture children with purpose, resilience, and global responsibility, okay? I want to see global citizens in our children, in our next generation, okay? So that's my Ikigai statement. And your Ikigai statement could look very differently from mine, okay? I also have a mission statement. And if you like it, you can do a screenshot. I'm happy for you to take a screenshot of that. Okay. I like to say that teaching is a vocation, not just a profession. So what's the difference between vocation and profession? Okay. Vocation is a personal calling, a strong feeling to do this work. So I share with you about the school psychologist who committed 45 years of his life to combat bullying. He felt he was called to do this. He didn't have any other jobs. He was just still investing in training teachers to address bullying issues. Okay. A profession is your career path. You do get specialized training, and you certainly, through your work, achieve financial stability and career advancements. Okay. And I want to share about career advancements later on. Okay. Okay, so do take a screenshot if you like that statement. Okay. Let me touch on spiritual preparation of the teacher. And this is what Dr. Montessori advocates, that it is more than acquiring knowledge. Okay. It is not enough to know how to present Montessori materials. First, you need to know yourself as a person and as a teacher. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. You need to know yourself as a person and as a teacher. Now, many of us have blind spots. The fact that it is blind means we don't even know it exists. Okay, we may have some prejudices and biases. For example, have you ever thought why we dress boys in blue and girls in pink or red? Why do boys play guns and girls play with dolls? Is there something that we have taken on from culture without thinking about it? Why can't children play with cars or aeroplanes and dinosaurs? Why do girls only do the sewing? Do you know that when I introduced sewing in class, it was the boys who loved the sewing? Okay, so we need to recognize that there may be certain, for want of a better term, maybe certain values that we have absorbed from our parents or from our society, from our community, without thinking too much about it, and then became a blind spot. Okay. Do we even feel like because we are the teacher, we know better? And that affects how we talk to our children. Dr. Montessori advocates that we should treat the children respectfully. It is so easy to speak respectfully with our colleagues or adults, parents, our co-workers. But do we use a intimidating tone or some unnice words to our children? If a child asks more questions, do we shoo them away? Or do we even tell the child, shh, keep quiet, I'm talking, you listen? Are those words coming out from our mouth? Okay. So it is important that we spend time doing a reflective practice of ourselves. Know who you are. Okay. And recognizing who you are is going to help you a lot to make changes. Okay. I'm going to share with you a resource by this American teacher and author. His name is Parker Palmer. He wrote the book, We Teach Who We Are. Okay, so please keep this resource. It's a PDF. Okay, he talks about seeing himself as a whole person and his students as whole people, both good and bad. He recognized there are some people who are not so nice, and he recognized that people can be good as well. And he asked, what biases and prejudices do we have about children, about girls or boys, about parents, about our colleagues, or even about ourselves? Do you realize that you can have prejudice against yourself? And words like, I'm so stupid, how can I make this mistake, is a prejudice against yourself. You are not stupid. You just forgot. And it's good to and it's good to make mistakes. Is when you make mistakes, then you discover I made a mistake. And then you can make corrections. Okay. So download that article and keep for yourself. Okay. Do a reflective journey of your inner being. Okay. We can't give what we don't have. If we want children to be patient, we tell them to be patient, please wait. Are we ourselves patient? Do we wait? If we want our children to learn to be wise in their financial management, are we also very thrifty? Okay. So do a reflective journey of yourself. And the next resource I want to share with you is from Dorothy Norter. She's the author of Children Learn What They Live. Children Learn What They Live. It's a beautiful poem that she wrote. Okay. And I do encourage you to print it out and hang it on your classroom wall or on your table, wherever you're working. Read it with intentionality, okay? So that when we work with children, we can become very, very mindful, okay, how we are talking to them, okay? Montessori suggests that when we work with children, not to place ourselves as superior, but to be a nobody, okay? It means, we do not exist, okay? Instead, she said, we are called to be witnesses of how the children unfold of themselves and reveal the potential in them. Okay. Now, some of us grew up being verbally or maybe even emotionally abused, okay, by teachers or by our parents or even by other adults who make us feel really small. Yeah. Because they're standing on a pedestal, they're really looking down at us. So unknowingly, if we do not deal with those emotions, unknowingly, we may be doing the same thing with the children or with other people, maybe our colleagues. Okay. Sometimes we may even find ourselves saying, talking about parents. Oh, she doesn't know how to take care of her children. She doesn't know about parenting. That's why her child's behavior is terrible. Have you ever caught yourself saying things like this? Okay, that's because we ourselves may have been spoken over, and we did not treat those wounds, and unknowingly has sowed some bad seeds in our lives, and we were just running the same cycle and hurting other people with our words. Okay, even with our actions. Okay, sometimes rolling our eyes at a child talking to us. That is not a nice thing, right? And if we don't check ourselves, that becomes a habit. Okay. I had a teacher who in China, when she was learning to be a Montessori teacher, after about maybe working with me for about 1 year, one day her husband told her, you have become very, very patient. You speak in a gentle voice and you become more beautiful as a person. She was so amazed at the feedback from her husband that she came to school and she shared this with us. So when you undergo Montessori training, the first person to benefit is yourself. You will find that you have changed. Okay. And I have a lot more other stories from teachers who share their own personal transformation. Okay. Now, let me get down to how we can have a rewarding career as a Montessori educator. It does not matter that you are not yet one, but the fact that you register for this webinar, I certainly hope that you can benefit from the sharing tonight. Okay. First thing is definitely we must understand Montessori philosophy and the principles of teaching because it gives us the why behind what we do in the classroom. Okay. Why do we give a lesson 1 before we give lesson 2? Okay, there are many reasons. Why do we arrange the materials in this sequence? Okay, and why we do language with the 3-period lesson? Okay, things like that. Yeah, many Montessori teacher training programs are not accredited. They are perhaps of shorter duration. They may offer cheaper tuition fees. However, it does not ground us well in the Montessori philosophy and principles. So I mentioned to you my first experience. It gave me some foundation, but there was a learning gap, right? And Montessori, the philosophy is beyond absorbent mind, sensitive periods, or the 4 planes of development. Okay. Why do we have mixed age classroom? Why is the 3rd year so important for us? The 3rd year as in children going through 3 years of learning with us. Why the 3rd year is so important for the child? Why do we say practical life and sensorial curriculums are the heart and soul of Montessori? What are the hidden curriculum? What are the 3 streams of Montessori education? So it's just some things that which are all part of philosophy, okay? And Montessori educators embrace a child-centered approach that values independence, creativity, respect for each child's unique development. That's why we do a lot of one-on-one teaching. Okay. And when we do small group lessons or circle time, we still come back and do one-on-one lessons because we value each child. Every child learn differently. Some learn faster, okay, and some may be stronger in math. Other children may be stronger in mathematics. So how do we follow up with each child to make sure that we close the learning gaps? Okay. Okay, so action. I like to suggest an action for you to deepen your Montessori philosophy. You can read and study her books. There are quite a number of books written by her. Beside The Absorbent Mind, there is The Secret of Childhood, The Montessori Method, and To Educate the Human Potential. Okay, these are some of the books I do recommend that you get a hold of. The Secret of Childhood, the Montessori Method, okay, and To Educate the Human Potential. And of course, there are a lot more other books, yeah? So please dive into her books and study, okay? And you will learn that Montessori education evolved over time, okay? When she first started, she had certain ideas, and then when she observed children some more, she realized that, hey, I did not understand it well, and now she changed her ways. Okay. Number 2 is choose the right Montessori training program. Okay. I like to say that not all Montessori training programs are made equal. Okay. So there are some criteria that I like to share. Make sure that it is comprehensive. Okay. Find out when you want to enroll in a training course, find out what contents will be covered, how many modules will there be, or do they just focus on the 5 curriculum areas? Do they also offer peace education? Do they teach you how to partner with parents and your co-workers? Do they talk about learning disabilities or teach about physical education? Do they have a module on visual arts? Okay, so things are this you must find out. Okay, so imagine with me Imagine you are going to a clinic to see a doctor. Okay, so Dr. A studied for 6 to 9 months and he got his medical certificate. Okay, and Dr. B next door studied 6 years. Now, when you went to the doctor, Dr. A said, I think you have one of your organs is not functioning well. I need to open you up. So you decided to go to Clinic B, and the doctor who has 6 years of training shares the same thing. Yes, there is something wrong and we'll have to do a surgery. Now, my question to you, who would you trust to do the operation on you? The person who has 6 months training or the person who has 6 years training? I think the answer is obvious, right? We go for Dr. B, right? The second one, because he has more years of training. Okay, he's definitely more knowledgeable. I trust his skills. Okay, so in the same way in education, if you are going for a 2-week course, for example, and they call themselves teacher training, compared to uh, 1.5 years training, who who will have more solid foundation? Okay, so like I said, not all training programs are made equal, yeah? Okay, so do find out. Make sure that the training offers you hands-on practicum, which means that you have to attach to a school or your classroom. If your school is a Montessori classroom, then you can practice there. If you're not already working in a Montessori environment, make sure that they require you to have practicum, okay? And will there be any mentorship or coaching? How long is the practicum? Okay, the longer you can practice, the more experience you can gain. Okay. Another point to look at is there in-person learning? So which means that you meet together with other learners to learn more things. Okay, not teaching you the same thing as what you will learn in class, but to teach you more than that. Okay, and what would the on-site training look like? Okay, so in the case of CGMS, we call it residency. Okay, so what does it look like when you join the residency? Okay, is the program flexible? Now, all of us are working. Some of us have families. Does it require you to give up your work or to take extended leave to attend training? Now, when you have to take long leave of absence from your workplace to attend the training at a specific location, sometimes overseas, consider that there will also be extra costs involved because you have to fly there, okay? You may have to take the train, there's hotel accommodation, there's your personal expenses, okay? So all these adds up to your training costs, okay? So ask those questions wisely, okay? Find out also who the trainers are, how many trainers would there be to guide you. The faculty expertise is very important, okay? In CJMS course, we have an instructional guide who stays with you throughout the 1.5 years training. During your practicum phase, you are assigned a practicum advisor who meets with you 2 times every month to talk about your classroom teaching, okay? And you can talk about assignments as well. You can also talk about challenging behaviors in the classroom, or how to do a presentation to parents, okay? So the practicum advisor is the second person who mentors and coach. We also have a field consultant who visits you while you're teaching. So the field consultant visits 3 times throughout the 1.5 years while you're on the course. Okay. Sometimes in your school, you may not have teachers who have undergone training. So we may also help you find a mentor who will also guide you. So you can have 3 to 4 persons walking with you throughout your training period, okay? And that's very important, okay? So the action plan for point number 2, choosing the right Montessori training program, is research which program serves your needs well, okay? Do schedule a Zoom call or a phone call to understand more. Ask for a demo if they offer you an online program. If they say that they're doing on-site, maybe you can ask more questions like what modules, who will be the trainer, how many years of teaching does this trainer have, and things like that, okay? Ask also about residency training as well, okay? Okay. Now, I noticed that a lot of people are signing in late. Don't worry, I'm recording this webinar, so we could possibly make this available to you. Please do the scan in so that we know who are attending, because we have 200 over people, but we are only having 46 people now at this moment, okay? So your attendance sign in will help us know who to send the web recording to, yeah? Okay, so I will move on. Getting hands-on classroom teaching experience, which is part of your practicum, is very important. And even after you graduate, make sure you find a Montessori teaching position, right? So while practicing Montessori presentations in a simulated classroom can be very helpful, it is no substitute for a dynamic reality of working with children. So some training programs, they set up a classroom for you and you do all your practices there. So you have no children, you're just practicing with each other or on your own, okay? Now, that means you only know the theory of presenting a lesson, but children comes in all shapes and sizes and behaviors, right? So one child may sit with you, another child may not be interested to sit with you for long, right? So you need to know the dynamics of working with children in real life, yeah? And this is a very important dimension, okay? Because in the real classroom, the challenges are immediate and unpredictable, okay? Some children may interrupt you before you even start the presentation. Others may not show any interest in the lesson that you're trying to give, okay? So navigating these moments requires not just technical skill, but also deep sensitivity, knowing that child is not yet ready, is not yet not interested at this moment, okay? And how do we come back to that lesson later on, okay? And you have to present it with a lot of grace. You need to sometimes adapt a lesson for a child, okay? So make sure the school that you intern with or work at fully embrace the Montessori practices. Some schools only offer practical life, or they may even adopt only math or language, okay? There are some schools that offer Montessori classes twice a week. Some schools that I know of, they only run Montessori for 1 hour every day. Okay, that will not give you the exposure you need to fully embrace the Montessori method, or even to see the results that Dr. Montessori talks about, which is still proven today, okay? So the best practice would be 2.5 hours minimally. The ideal, obviously, is 3 hours every day in a mixed age classroom, okay? The lead teacher should be Montessori trained and certified, okay? And hopefully she's humble to teach you and share her experiences with you, share her know-how, okay? There are some Montessori teachers who will not be willing to share with you because they're afraid that you become better than them, okay? So go and find out, yeah? Do find out who you'll be working with, yeah? We do encourage our learners, whether you are still practicing or even after you have graduated, when you find out that there are other people who present lessons differently, Okay. I like to suggest that we seek first to understand. All right. And just ask them, may I understand why you present the lesson this way? Okay. Don't engage into a I am right, you are wrong way of communication. Okay, we actually have more commonalities than there are differences. Although there are many different training programs, we want to find the things that we embrace. We are aligned. Okay, rather than to go and fight about why we are different. Okay, and fight about I am right and you are wrong. Okay, that is not going to benefit anyone. Okay, so the action plan I suggest to you is find the schools that allow you to work with real children. Okay, that gives daily lessons in a mixed age classroom. Okay, ideally for 3 hours. Okay, and if I may suggest to you, ask yourself the question after you have visited the school on the environment. Does the exposure in this classroom ensure that I am job ready with confidence and real world experience? Okay, does it make me ready to become a Montessori teacher? Does it help me to become more confident? Okay. Number 4, certainly, I would strongly advocate that you ensure that your training program is internationally accredited. Okay. Now, if you want to find out whether a program is internationally accredited, I'm going to give you this link here. You can go to METI website. Okay. So once you enter into the website, you can type the country and what program, whether it is infant, toddler, or 3 to 6 early childhood, and then they will list down what training programs, which organizations their programs are accredited. Okay, so that will help you find out, which are the ones, okay, the training programs that is recognized. Okay, so a lot of training programs out there, training providers out there claim that they are certified, that they give you a teacher diploma. Okay, but ask, more importantly, is your program certified? Does it mean that once I graduate with you, I can go teach anywhere in the world as a Montessori teacher? Now, I want to add also, whilst a internationally accredited Montessori certificate allow us to teach in Montessori schools anywhere in the world, in some countries, they may also require you to have a separate teacher licensure. So for example, if you're working in, say, Vietnam or Cambodia or Indonesia, you may still need to take some exams to become a teacher, a certified teacher. Yeah. So find that out. Okay. So the action plan is to ensure that the program is certified, okay, is recognized internationally, okay, and how extensive it is, okay, and ask about the charges that the fees, is it all inclusive? You don't want halfway when you're already enrolled, then they slap you with more expenses. Okay, they may say, okay, now you have to pay for albums. Now you have to pay for more books. Now you have to pay for to come on site to train. Okay, so check those things out. Okay. Number 5, build your professional network. Okay, and specifically, I want to address this post-credential. That means you have graduated. Okay, don't just be satisfied that now I am a Montessori teacher. I'm qualified to teach, so that's it. That's the end of the journey. No, it is important to continue to network with people. Okay, join an alumni for networking. Okay, to support you and to have continued learning. Okay, there are some Facebook groups for infant toddler classes, for infant toddler level or 3 to 6 or elementary. Okay, Sometimes the alumni may be posting job opportunities in some countries. So joining those alumni will be very helpful. Okay. I like to suggest that you can consider joining the International Montessori Council. I'm going to share the link with you, IMC. Join the membership, okay? Or join AMS if your training program is with AMS or AMI, okay? So the action plan is, I like to borrow American Express credit card. They say membership has its privileges. So networking is key to advancing any career, okay? Join a professional organization, attend conferences, connect with other Montessori educators to stay informed and inspired, okay? I will be conducting more webinars in future. So please complete the webinar check-in, and then later on at the end of the webinar, I will be sharing another survey form QR code. If you want to stay informed of future training, some of our webinars will be free of charge. If we have some guest speakers, deeper content, it may be a paid webinar. Okay, so if you want to be informed, so please do keep in touch with us. Okay. Finally, to commit to lifelong learning. Did you know that Dr. Montessori studied a medical degree in 1896? Yeah. And then she also did physics, mathematics in her earlier years in 1890. Okay, then she went to medical 1896. She also did natural sciences in 1892. And she went into education in 1901, anthropology in 1901, and also experimental psychology in 1901. So she's a very learned person. So someone as wise as and as knowledgeable as Dr. Montessori, if she can continue to study and commit to lifelong learning, how much more we need to be learning, right? Okay. So I want to just share my humble experience, my own a bit of myself. Besides my Montessori credentials, I also took up TESOL to teach children as a second language. So I'm TESOL certified. I also learned directly under Catherine Coles. She is a contemporary of Jane Nelson, who is famous for positive parenting. Catherine Coles developed the redirecting children's behavior. Okay, so I learned it from her. I also eventually took on a graduate diploma in social psychology and counseling. Okay. And also attended some short courses on para counseling because I'm not qualified to be a psychologist, but there will be times where I find that I need to sit with a teacher or a parent, and I need to hone my listening skills. So having this counseling skills really helps. Okay. I have also joined some courses and become a well-being facilitator. Okay. How many of you know about PDPA, Personal Data Protection Act? Okay. I actually went for a training to become a PDPA officer. Okay. So that will help me understand about collecting data. Okay. So when we conduct training, we're collecting data, how to protect your information and not sell it to third parties. Okay. So just giving you examples of how I continued learning. It's not just only in Montessori, but in other areas as well. I also got myself first aid, child first aid, food safety and hygiene. In Montessori, we have food prep. So to make sure that I am qualified to teach food prep, I actually went for a food safety and hygiene course. Okay. So just sharing, like, there are so many ways of learning. Okay. Reading books is definitely another way to learn. Okay. So the action plan in this area would be continue to pursue advanced certifications, commit to ongoing professional development by attending webinars and workshops, conferences, okay? Stay updated on the latest Montessori best practices, okay? And okay, I'm going to share with you this video by Siva. Siva is a one of our past graduates. She did the elementary program. I met with her recently and she agreed to do this recording for me. So do enjoy. Oops, hold on, sorry. Okay.
Hi, I'm Shiva Shakti and I'm from India. I'm so glad to meet you all through this webinar. I want to share my Montessori journey with you all. My Montessori journey began when my daughter joined an infant toddler program. Watching her grow in that environment was magical and inspirational. It inspired me to take the training myself around the time when she finished her early years. At the time, I chose NAMC's self-paced course and it appealed to me because of its flexibility. I could own the course duration, study from any location, and I wasn't bound to an on-site classroom environment. For someone who had just moved countries and wasn't sure where we would settle, this freedom was exactly what I needed. And at that time and space, the self-study program definitely worked for me. And it gave me a good starting point. The materials were beautifully presented, and I remember feeling excited every time I saw the video lessons come alive. It built the foundation, but as I moved through the course, I felt something was missing. I longed for a community, for real conversations with other learners, and I noticed that certain key lessons, like the botany charts or the auxiliary stories, were not part of the coursework. And above all, it wasn't MACD accredited. And then I knew I needed to go deeper if I wanted to grow as an authentic Montessori guide. That's when I discovered CGMS. And it has really been a blessing in disguise for me. Honestly, enrolling was was one of the best decisions of my life. The difference was immediate. I suddenly had a cohort, mentors, guides who did not just teach, but walked alongside me. The residency, the practicum, and the observations grounded everything that I was learning in the online classes. And what struck with me most was how the program prepared me for the real classroom and not just the ideal one. Real classrooms with children of diverse needs, with parents having questions and environments that are not always perfect. I still remember the late night or early morning discussions with my cohort, the joy of seeing philosophy connect to practice, and the deep sense of belonging. It wasn't just training, it was a life changing experience for me. The module on neurodiversity, especially, gave me tools and confidence to include every child. This is something many programs don't give enough attention to, and it has shaped my work profoundly. And I'm happy to share with you all that I have started a Montessori Resource Center for supporting families, caregivers, and children with atypical needs. Looking back, I can say NAMC gave me the spark, but CGMS gave me the fire. It gave me depth, authenticity, and lifelong mentors who continue to be my allies in my journey. And now, with CGMS having Asia representation, new cohorts here can attend classes at convenient hours across Asian time zones. While I don't complain about my 3:30 a.m. sessions, I certainly wish I had a more sane hour. Candidates from Asia can take advantage of this, joining a cohort that is more affordable and much easier to manage in terms of timing. As I look ahead, I'm excited by the thought that CGMS may one day have a stronger presence in India. To me, that means more educators here could experience what I experienced, that The combination of rigor, community, and heart that changes not just how we teach, but who we are. Thank you. And you can interact with me if you need any further details. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm sharing with you her YouTube video that has subtitles, so you might want to relook at it again. Okay, so I'm going to. Are there any questions that you have so far before I give you an introduction of the CGMS course? Any questions? You can type it or you can unmute yourself. I'm happy to take questions. Anyone? No? Okay, if you can type, yeah, you can type your questions. Okay. Yes, Montessori is applicable for special children with diverse needs. Okay. Okay. And certainly we need to adapt in our teaching because children, say with autism, will need extra structure. Okay. Okay. Let me now go into give you a quick introduction of the CGMS training program if you're interested in it. Okay. So our program has, so in the program, you will actually have the theory lectures as well as the material presentations. So they're all videos that you can watch at your own time. So you will watch on a weekly basis. You follow the cohort once you enrolled, and you'll cover all the content. Okay, so and then you will have some discussions online as well as offline. So I meet with all the learners, or your instructional guide will meet with the learners once a week for an hour to discuss about the lectures that was covered during the week. Okay, and that gives all of us a chance to meet with each other online, okay, in the air, right? And also you can replay the videos again, okay? There are 8 modules spread out over 1.5 years, okay? And what we call a spiral curriculum. So during the 1.5 years, you'll be learning, say in 1 week, you might be covering practical life. The following week, you might be doing sensorial. And the third week, you might be doing child development. So it gives you sufficient information so that prepares you to work with the children and understand the children. Okay, this is what we call a spiral curriculum. Okay, every week, the instructional guide meets with the learners for 1 hour to discuss about lectures. Okay, and answer any questions you may have. Okay. Many of our learners find this very, very helpful. They are able to get clarified. So like some training programs, they may give you where you actually do self-paced learning. Okay. But then you don't meet with a you don't meet with a mentor or a coach. Okay, so you can't ask questions. Or if you ask questions, it's just in written text. Okay. Practicum and residential experiences are very, very important. Okay. So this picture was taken in Beijing, where I was working with Kitty Bravo, our education director. She's the one in turquoise, right in the middle. I was the one taking pictures, so I'm not there, right? So the practicum phase is a time when you are attached to a classroom to teach, and that would be a calendar year of teaching, so about 9 to 10 months. Okay. And this is the time where you actually practice giving lessons, doing observations, doing case studies, and of course, carry out the some assignments as well. Okay. I want to quickly share the international program and the Asia program is actually the same program, except that the price is different. We have drastically subsidized, well, not subsidized, but discounted the Asia program is to meet the Asia needs. Yeah. Let's face it, we are not making US dollars. Okay, so we can't afford to pay the US dollar, right? So CGMS has been very generous and offer the program for Asia learners. The fee is 4,750. There is an application fee that is non-refundable. There is a professional fee, which is for your METI certificate, as well as the IMC membership, the alumni. Okay. So the total fee is 5,001 compared to those in other parts out of Asia, they have to pay the international fees of 7,800. Okay. Very importantly is we are working on Asia time. So your instructional guide will be meeting with you. Say for me, I'm now leading a cohort. So I have learners who are living in Thailand, Japan, Laos, Myanmar. So the time difference is very minimal. It's only about maybe an hour or two, okay? But if you are studying with the international cohort, there is a time difference of 12 to 15 hours. Okay, that's why Siva was talking that she had to attend live sessions at 3:30 in the morning. Okay. Yes, you can use the Montessori method in public school system. Okay, and I'm happy to share with you more, Joanna, if you like to connect with me. Very importantly, I'd like to share the career pathways. Once you have attained your teacher certification in Montessori, make sure it is certified, that it is a certified program. Okay. After that 1.5 years of training, continue to teach in the classroom for another 3 years or so. So a total of 5 years. After you have met the 5 years, you are now able to become qualified to become a instructional guide, okay, to be a field consultant or even to be a practicum advisor, okay. So the investment that you make gives you a career advancement, okay. So remember at the beginning I talked about the definition of fulfilling career. It must give you advancement, right? So make sure your training program is METI certified, okay? And then later on, you can become a trainer and workshop speaker. I started first as a workshop speaker before I went into training, okay? Now I'm serving with METI as a site verifier. So I visit schools and check all their programs to make sure that they do what they say they do, right? Some training programs, they say this, but they do others, all right? So METI is very strict. They will send a team of qualified teachers to verify it. Okay, I'm also part of the IMC committees. Okay, and we are always looking at ways to improve and to share, to share how we can advance our teaching or ourselves. Okay. CGMS also have shorter courses. These are what we call professional development courses. Okay. We have a 10-week program. Many of you inquired into the 10-week program. If you feel that maybe perhaps financially or maybe at this point, you cannot commit to the 1.5-year course, but you still want to learn, you want to get trained, right? The 10-week program is a good option. It's only for US 300, okay, and they can take in applications now, and we're ready to start the next cohort. Okay. So, then we also have an assistant teacher for 12 weeks. Okay. The content is slightly different. All right. So as an assistant teacher, you may not be giving that many lessons, but you're more a tone keeper, and how you learn to support your lead teacher, how to prepare the environment, how to make materials. Okay. There are also other professional development webinars. Okay. Some of them are free and then some of them are chargeable. Okay. So I'm going to give you this link to complete the form. So if you want to know more about CGMS training programs, please complete this form. I think my admin person is going to share that link with you. Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I clicked too quickly. Okay. So that ends my sharing tonight. Okay, I hope that it has been helpful and gives you some idea of how you can pursue a fulfilling career in Montessori as a teacher. And those of you who have perhaps specific questions, please reach out to me. This is you can reach out to me on my email, cching@cgms.edu. Okay. And if you want to know more about our training program, you can click this other link, cgms.edu Early Childhood Asia Program. Okay. And like I said, tonight we're supposed to have people from Philippines, from Korea, one from Ukraine, actually, Indonesia, Thailand. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Joanna. Thank you. So I've typed in a thank you note in different languages just to respect everyone. I may have missed out some of you who joined last minute. Yeah, but I hope the session has been helpful for you. Yeah, and please do reach out. Okay. Yes, Carrie, you want more information? If you can respond to the form, then I can send you more information because I will need your email address. Okay. So my admin person will send you the link again. The last under the share forms. So please, yeah, please fill up the form there. All right. And the rest of you who have more questions, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Terima kasih. I have been visiting Indonesia, so I can manage terima kasih. Thank you, Alona. Thank you for attending. Okay, and those of you who need to go, you may log out, but those of you who have questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions you may have. So METI, it is not METI training. METI is the certification. Okay. CGMS is the training provider. So our programs are all METI certified. Yeah, and we do it online, so you don't have to leave your work. Okay. But you do have to attend a residency for 2 weeks on site. Okay, that's for Carrie Chu Tan. Yeah. Carrie, please do reach out to me at my email address. I'm happy to answer any more questions that you may specifically have. And to the rest of you, thank you so much for staying with us. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have questions? Did I miss some questions earlier? If I had not answered any of your questions, please type it again. I'm happy to answer them. If you want the recording, please complete the form so that our admin office in the US can send you the link later on. Okay, and looks like there are no questions. So if you do not have any questions, thank you so much. Somebody's coming in after the session has ended. Okay, so thank you so much. I will say good night to all of you. The person who has just logged in, we have completed the webinar, but do fill up the form. And if you want to access a recording, so admin person can reshare the link. Okay, do complete this form so that we can follow up with you again. All right. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you so much for staying with me. And I wish you the best. Bye-bye.